If you've watched any finance video on YouTube, you already know the standard list. Set a budget, live below your means, diversify, automate your savings, pay off debt. It's good advice. It's also advice you've heard so many times it's basically wallpaper at this point. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Following that exact list to the letter has never actually made anyone rich, not by itself. So today, we're doing the other list, the 10 things people who actually built real wealth do that contradict almost everything you were taught growing up. Some of these are going to feel wrong. A couple might actually make you a little mad. Stick around anyway, because number 7 is the one that explains why some of the most careful, responsible people you know are still broke. I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice, just patterns that keep showing up once you actually look. Principle 1. Your budget doesn't matter nearly as much as your income. Everyone obsesses over skipping the coffee, dropping the streaming subscriptions, trimming $5 here and $10 there. Here's the math nobody wants to do. Cutting $40 a month off your spending saves you $40 a month, forever. It doesn't grow, it doesn't compound, it just sits there as $40 year after year. A single raise, a side skill that gets you a better job, or a side business that brings in even a few hundred extra a month does more for your wealth in one move than 5 years of skipped lattes. Picture two people. One spends a year meticulously tracking every receipt to save $60 a month. The other spends that same year learning one skill that gets them promoted into a job paying $8,000 more a year. Both of them worked hard, only one of them moved the needle. Budgeting controls the leak. It does almost nothing to grow the river. People who build real wealth spend way less time trimming and way more time earning. Principle 2. Debt isn't always the enemy. You've been told debt is bad, pay it off as fast as possible, but there's a massive difference between debt that drains you and debt that builds you. A credit card charging you 20% interest on a couch you bought on impulse, that's the enemy. A loan at 4 or 5% that lets you buy a rental property, start a business, or get a degree that doubles your income, that's a tool. The couch debt sits there costing you money every month with nothing coming back. The business loan or the rental property debt is paying you back the entire time it exists, sometimes more than the interest costs. Treating every single dollar of debt the same way is like being afraid of every dog because one bit you once. Some debt is genuinely dangerous. Some debt is the exact thing that gets people to the next level. And the next one is going to make you question something you've probably been told your entire adult life. Principle 3. Diversification can quietly make you poorer. Every advisor on earth will tell you to diversify, spread your money everywhere, and never put your eggs in one basket. And for protecting what you already have, that's solid advice. But look at almost every wealthy person you can name. They didn't get rich being diversified. They got rich being concentrated in one business, one skill, one bet they understood better than anyone else, and then diversified after the money showed up, not before. The guy who started a landscaping company didn't get wealthy because he also owned a little bit of 40 other random businesses. He got wealthy because he poured everything he had into the one thing he understood cold. There's actual research behind this. A 5-year study tracking self-made millionaires found that 61% of them built their fortune around one single business they were genuinely passionate about, not a scattered pile of unrelated side bets. Diversification protects wealth. It rarely creates it.
Principle 4. Your first job out of school probably shouldn't be the highest paying one. This one sounds insane, so stick with me. A job that pays you more right now but teaches you nothing and connects you to nobody useful is actually a worse long-term bet than a slightly lower paying job that puts you next to people who are already where you want to be. Take two new graduates. One takes the job paying $5,000 more a year doing repetitive work alone in a back office. The other takes the lower offer, working directly under someone who's built 3 companies. 5 years later, guess which one's career actually took off? Money you earn at 22 is small money no matter what the number says. The actual asset at that age is who you meet and what you learn, because that's what compounds for the next 40 years. Up next, the one homeowners have argued about for generations, and you're about to hear the side they don't want to admit is true. Principle 5. Renting isn't throwing money away. You've heard it 1,000 times. Renting is throwing money away. Buying is always smarter. Except a mortgage payment isn't just rent that builds equity. It also comes loaded with property taxes, repairs, insurance, and a chunk of interest that goes straight to the bank with zero return for you. Let's run the numbers because this is where it gets fun. Say you've got $40,000 saved for a down payment. Buy a house with it, and that $40,000 becomes equity frozen inside drywall and a roof, growing at whatever rate your local market feels like giving you that year. Meanwhile, you're paying for the new water heater when it dies, the new roof when it leaks, and the property tax bill every year regardless. Now picture renting instead and dropping that same $40,000 into the stock market. Historically, that grows around 7% a year after inflation. Run it for 20 years and $40,000 turns into something close to $150,000. No roof required. The renter didn't lose by renting. The renter just put the money somewhere that works for a living instead of somewhere that mostly sits there looking nice. Your landlord is the one stuck dealing with the leaking roof at 2 in the morning. You're the one whose money is quietly compounding while you sleep. If buying ties up cash you could have invested somewhere that grows faster, renting on purpose can be the smarter move. The house isn't always the goal. The math is the goal. Principle 6. Working harder has a ceiling. Owning things doesn't. There's a hard limit to how much money you can make by trading your hours for a paycheck because you only have so many hours and so much energy in a single day. You can work doubles, pick up a second job, and push yourself to exhaustion, and you'll still hit a wall because there are only 24 hours and your body only has so much in it. Owning a piece of something, a business, a rental, or a stock that grows while you sleep has no such ceiling. The hours stop being the thing that determines your income. People who build serious wealth shift, sometimes slowly, from selling their time to owning assets that work without them standing there. And that shift is exactly where the next one comes in, because it's not the reckless people who get stuck here, it's the careful ones. Principle 7. Being careful with money can keep you poor just as easily as being careless with it. Here's the one I promised. Plenty of people do everything right. They never carry a balance, they never take a risk, they keep their money safely sitting in a savings account earning almost nothing, while inflation quietly eats it every single year. Picture $20,000 sitting in a savings account paying you next to nothing while prices everywhere keep climbing every year. That money looks exactly the same on the screen 5 years later. It isn't. It buys less, even though the number never moved. Being too careful for too long means your money never gets the chance to grow. Caution feels responsible, but parked cash sitting still while prices keep climbing is its own kind of risk. It's just a slow, quiet one that doesn't feel like a mistake until you look back 10 years later.
Principle 8. The people who look the richest are often the least wealthy. The least luxury car, the brand new everything, the vacation posted every other month on Instagram. That's frequently a person spending money they don't actually have to look like they do. You see the car in the driveway. You don't see the lease payment due on the 1st, the maxed out card sitting in their wallet, or the zero left in savings the week after the trip gets posted. Picture two neighbors. One drives a car that's 2 years old, financed, with a payment due every month for the next 5 years. The other drives a car that's 8 years old, paid off, with a little rust starting near the wheel well. If you had to guess which one has more sitting in their accounts, most people would guess wrong, because the shiny car is the one quietly draining money every single month, and the rusty one is the one with nothing draining at all. Meanwhile, the actually wealthy person down the street is the one you'd never look twice at, because nothing about how they live is designed to be seen by anyone else. They're not hiding their money out of shame. They just don't need anyone's approval badly enough to pay for it. Looking rich and being rich are often opposites because the appearance costs money that real wealth would rather have working for it instead. Every dollar that goes toward looking impressive is a dollar that stopped compounding the moment it left your account. Principle 9. You don't need a higher income nearly as much as you think you do. Most people assume the fix for their money problems is simply making more. But give most people a raise and watch what happens. Their spending quietly rises right along with it. A nicer car, a bigger apartment, more takeout, a few more subscriptions they don't really use, and somehow they still feel just as stretched as before, just at a higher number on the paycheck. Researchers actually have a name for this, lifestyle creep,
and it happens almost automatically unless you catch it on purpose. Here's a statistic that may surprise you. A survey of over 10,000 actual millionaires found that roughly 1 in 3 of them never earned 6 figures in a single year of their entire career. Not once. Not during their best year, not during their last year before retiring. Never. They didn't out-earn their way there. They just never let their spending catch up to what they made, year after year for decades, while everyone around them upgraded their lifestyle every time their paycheck did. The actual fix usually isn't the income number. It's the gap between what comes in and what goes out. And that gap can be widened at almost any income level if you actually pay attention to it, instead of letting it quietly shrink every time you get a raise. Principle 10. Waiting for the perfect time to start is the single most expensive decision most people make. People wait for the market to look better, for their debt to be gone, for their job to feel more stable, for some perfect moment that conveniently never arrives no matter how long they wait for it. And every single year they wait is a year that can never be gotten back, because growth needs time more than it needs perfect conditions. Time in the market does more heavy lifting than almost any other single decision you'll make, and it's the one thing you can never buy back once it's gone. Picture 2 people starting at the exact same age. One waits 3 years for the market to feel right before putting in a single dollar. The other starts immediately, putting in $200 a month even though their job isn't perfect and their savings are thin. Run both at a normal long-term return for 30 years total, and the person who waited ends up with about $179,000. The person who started immediately with the same $200 a month ends up with about $227,000. Same monthly amount, same return, same effort. The only difference is 3 years, and that gap alone is worth almost $48,000. So that's the real list. Pick the one that bothered you the most, because that's usually the one you actually needed to hear.